at ISKCON Portland. We'll start off by singing this wonderful prayer called Jai Radha Madhava to glorify the Lord and to enter his pastimes. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Sachinandana ki jai. Please recite along with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So as I was mentioning earlier, the text for today, or the topic for today's discussion, is Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, text 25. I hope all of you are there. If not, maybe we can screen share that particular sloka, so when you have an opportunity, you can recite along. It's a very important sloka, so yes. Vipada santuta saswat. Okay. Vipada santuta shashwat. Vipada santuta shashwat. Tatra tatra jagat guru, tatra tatra jagat guru, bhavato darshanam yatsyat, bhavato darshanam yatsyat, apunar bhavadarshanam, apunar bhavadarshanam. Vipada santuta shashwat, vipada santuta shashwat, tatra tatra jagat guru. Tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyat bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunarbhavadarshanam, apunarbhavadarshanam.
Shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatyad apunar bhavadarshanam.
Vipadattas sandhu nashatva tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yaisatya apavulbhava
Thank you. All right, translation. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Chandra Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive who have performed some pious activities worship or begin to worship the Lord. Others, who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Lord due to being misled by the illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with a place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trance of calamity. The duty of the same person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path of going back to Godhead. Jnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalum Pangum Lange Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Wonderful sloka, right? It's a very practical sloka, and this has been a topic of several discussions that people have had. Why do bad things happen to good people, and so forth? Like so many. These are just branches from this. Those discussions are just branches from this particular topic. So the verse, along with the topic Vipada, is quite interesting. Srila Vyasadeva shared this profound sloka recited by Maharani Kunti to make us attune ourselves in such a manner that danger and calamities, may they remind me of Lord Krishna. And that will be the main focal point of today's discussion. While the India-Pakistan tension was prevalent during the time of one of Mayapur's Gaur Purnima festivals, there was a small talk amongst devotees regarding the imminent danger of a bomb being dropped from the sky and what devotees' mood should be in such a circumstance. When this was brought up to Srila Prabhupada, he looked up at the sky and he said that if a bomb were to come now, I'd say, Krishna, you have come. We'll refer back to this wonderful anecdote that Srila Prabhupada gave as we go on. How many of us have that conviction and staunch faith? There is no point in saying that I have been serving and associating with ISKCON or practicing Krishna consciousness for the past decade and a half, or even 2, if we can't exhibit an iota of the faith a mere 5-year-old boy who had technically been practicing Krishna consciousness for just 5 years displayed. This is a wonderful point of self-introspection. Little Prahlad did not even flinch on being tortured, but in full faith, he continued to recite, Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaya. Can a mortal father ignore his child when the child calls out for help? No. Then would the almighty, invincible, all-loving father ignore his child calling out for him? Never. Never. Lord Brahma, the first created being, he recites in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 14, text 8. Tattenukampa susumekshamano punjana evatma kritam vipakam hiridvagbabubir vidanam namaste jivetoyo muktipade sadayapak. My dear Lord, who has earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering. This is the point that we're going to stress on today. The reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Srila Sridhara Swami explains in his commentary with regards to this text that just as a legitimate son who has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, one who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. Profound, right? Simple, but yet profound. In other words, he will be promoted to the kingdom of God. This is the most important point that we want to drive home today. Unfortunately, the swadharma of the material world is that it is dukhalayam ashwashvatam. Alayam means an abode, and dukkha means sadness. And so it's a dukhalayam, and it's also temporary. That's the meaning of the word ashwashvatam. This material world is full of dangers. And everyone is trying to become happy and avoid danger. And these are the so-called struggles for existence. I mentioned that this is the swadharma, meaning the innate nature of this world. Is it a bright thing to do or utter foolishness to put your burned hands next to fire and expect it to cool your hands? No. The swadharma of the fire is to provide heat and light. So it would be foolish on one's end to expect anything else from fire but that. One cannot go to a hardware shop and expect to get fresh fruits and vegetables. How then can one expect to get atyantika sukham, or unlimited happiness in this world? Right? Here it is said, apunar bhavadarshanam. The real danger Maharani Kunti is speaking of here is apuna. Punarbhava actually means repetition of birth and death. Apuna means not. There is no repetition of birth and death. That's the real danger. Therefore, this repetition of birth and death is the real danger. And that is what we should seek to address and ultimately stop. The material world is full of dangers. I'm going to keep stressing on this point again and again. Padam padam yat vibadam. In this material world, there is dangers each and every step. Take the Titanic, for instance. It was originally claimed to be practically unsinkable. And on top of that, someone claims to have heard the ship's captain, Edward John Smith, say, even God himself can sink this ship. And what happened? The very first voyage itself deemed to be very, very dangerous. So our business should be to somehow cross over the ocean of nescience as soon as possible. We will discuss more about this as we go on. So long we are in the sea or in the ocean, we are in an extremely dangerous position, however strong a ship may be. And this ship is termed as how well settled we think we are in this life. As long as we are in this material world, we have to understand that there is dangerous calamities all around us, because this is a place of calamities. Our business must be to develop our Krishna consciousness, even with these calamities, dangers. And after giving up the body, go back home, back to Godhead. That should be our business. We should not be disturbed by these calamities. Easier said than done, right? Our wise Arjuna asked the Lord the same question. He was telling the Lord, like, whatever you're speaking, it's all right. I'm not this body, I'm the soul. Everyone, none of them, they are not, no one are the body, they are all the soul. But an annihilation of the body, the soul will exist. I agree, I understand. But when I see my son is dying or my grandfather is dying, how can I find solace that my grandfather is not dying or my son is not dying? And that the soul is simply changing bodies, because I'm accustomed to think like that. So there must be some grief. And Krishna, what does he say in turn? He says, yes, that's a fact. So you must simply tolerate. That's all. There is no other remedy. Ouch. Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agamam payino nityas tam tatikshava bharata. Tam tatikshava bharata. Son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from a sense of perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Tam tatikshava bharata. So in the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearance and disappearance of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, right? Even during the month of Magha, January, February. Here it's like almost all year round. It's very cold at that time, but in spite of that, the person who abides by these religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June. My mother-in-law was telling that in spite of the heat, she's still cooking hot chapatis for my father-in-law and my brother-in-law. So that's what women do, the hottest part of summer season. The duty must be done, even if it causes a little suffering. That is called tapasya. Tapasya. Tapasya means to prolong or proceed with our Krishna consciousness in spite of all dangerous and calamitous conditions of this world. This is called tapasya. Tapasya means voluntarily accepting the difficulties of life. So does the phrase no pain, no gain sound familiar? So no one but Krishna said this phrase himself first. If there are any classical music trained people here, I'm sure you would have heard of how great singers or your teachers teachers used to wake up early in the morning and used to go have a dip in the pond in freezing water and there practice their arohans and avrohans. And that's how they become wonderful singers. So fortunately for us, someone extremely munificent descended after Lord Krishna. Who is that? Shri Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Shri Nitai Sachinandana Ki Jai. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not give us the above mentioned prescription. His program is quite nice. And what is it? Chant, dance, and take prasad. And still we are unwilling. How many of us have the experience of calling our friends and saying, come, enjoy, come dance with us, sing with us, and have prasad, and still we hear so many excuses. So if we cannot accept even this tapasya, chanting, dancing, and honoring prasad, just imagine how fallen we are. In the most confidential knowledge, our beloved Supreme Personality of Godhead, he in fact mentions that Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshavagaman Dharmyam Susukam Kartumavyayam. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 2. This knowledge is the king of education and the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. So Sukham Kartam Avyayam. That means the principle of religion is everlasting and very happy to execute. That's the principle of religion. Still, we're not agreeable. We are willing to have sleeping medications, stress, go to rehabs, get hangovers, but not willing to accept the wonderful facilities of chanting and dancing and living peacefully, taking Krishna Prasad, and ultimately being happy. Apart from calling it misfortune, what else can be said about this? We are currently present in the dark age of Kali. So time, as we know, has been divided into various yugas, or crudely that can be translated to several millenniums. And there are 4 such yugas. Now, each of the yugas have a prescribed method of liberation or attaining the Lord. In the Kali Yuga, the yuga that we are present currently, the prescribed method of worship is chanting. Simply chanting the holy names of the Lord. How easy is that? We're really lucked out. It's said that even the devas, the residents of the higher planets or the heavenly planets, they are standing in a queue to come down here now in this age of Kali, just after the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, say 500-ish years back, because they understand that this is the best method to get liberation, because even they are not liberated. Even our Lord Brahma, the highest and the first created being, even he has a lifespan. Even he is a material being. So they're just waiting in line to come here and take up this easiest process. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left behind 8 main instructions, popularly called as the Shiksha, meaning instructions, Ashtaka, meaning 8 of them. And in the second instruction, the Lord says, Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shakti tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midrishamiham janina anuraga. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shakti. In the transcendental holy name of God, Krishna, all potencies are present, all potencies. As Krishna has got ultimate potency, similarly in the holy name of the Lord, holy name of Krishna, there is unlimited potency. So, Nam Namakari Bahuda. And Or on top of this, there are so many names of Krishna. Krishna has got thousands and thousands of names. We were very fortunate to have our lordships reside home now, and their names are Sri Sri Golokeshwari Golokapati. That's a unique name. There are so every temple all around the world, all around ISKCON. I come from a place called Bahrain, Balram Desh. Our presiding deities are called Sri Sri Radha Bharanishwar. See, so Krishna has thousands and thousands of names. The name of Krishna, which means all attractive, is the chief of those names. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shakti tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala. And there are no hard and fast rules to chant the names of the Lord. So please recite along with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a wonderful exercise. If you've noticed in some of Srila Prabhupada's classes or even in some of his purports, he makes sure to write the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if not twice, thrice, because he thinks that at least reading this, at least hearing this, let people get purified. One can take the holy name of the Lord at any time. In the material world, we have got this conception that the name is different from the fact. But in the absolute world, which is the spiritual world, there is no such difference. The name has as much potential or potency as Krishna has himself. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 17, text 133, there's this beautiful sloka. It goes like this. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namino. The holy name of Lord Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, there is no question of it being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So do you want to experience this right now? Let us all chant the 16-syllable Mahamantra once again, please, with all your heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here you go. We were directly in touch with Krishna now, immediately, because the name Krishna and Krishna in person are not different. They're identical. So even if you think Krishna is far, far away, Krishna is not far, far away. Krishna is within you. He's not far away. He's far away at the same time, he's near. So even if you think that Krishna is far, far away, he is immediately available. And for making Krishna available in such a shortcut, there is no hard and fast rule. You can chant at any time and immediately you get Krishna. Just see the mercy of Krishna. Let's take Queen Draupadi, for instance. She called out to Krishna, "Hey Govinda, hey Dwaraka Nivasan." Immediately he was there for her to aid her. Narottam Das Prabhu was describing this beautiful sloka that he came upon. The sloka that Queen Kunti almost and Maharani Draupadi also recited. Krishna Krishna Mahayogin Vishwatman Vishwabhavana Prapannam Pahi Govindam Swabhaktam Avasaditam. I can share this text in the chat also. It's a beautiful sloka. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that, Eta Drishi Tava Kripa, my dear Lord, you have given such a nice facility to contact you, but Durdaivami Drishamihan, I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment or attraction for these holy names. I have no attachment. I've got attachment to so many different things, but I have no attachment for chanting Hare Krishna. That's my greatest misfortune. Just think about it. Krishna has given us so many facilities. He's present before us through the transcendental vibration of his name. And the name has got all the potencies of Krishna. So if we remain in contact with the name, we get all the benefits of Krishna's benediction. But still, we're not inclined to chant, or we have 108 excuses not to chant or delay our chanting. And this is our misfortune. In order not to continue being misfortunate, let's get inspiration from the lives of wonderful devotees who never give up chanting the holy name of the Lord. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a wonderful compilation of all such wonderful examples. A surrendered soul is not concerned if he's in danger or he's in a festival, since they see this all as different demonstrations of Krishna, and that's the right attitude. In the Shastra, it is said that just like there are two opposite sides, for instance, religiosity and irreligiosity, it is said that religiosity is the front portion of Krishna and irreligiosity is the back portion of Krishna. So, is there any difference between the front portion or back portion? No. Why? God is absolute. Therefore, a devotee, either in opulence or in danger, he is not disturbed. He knows that both these things are Krishna himself. So in either position, either in a dangerous position, he says, oh, now Krishna, you have appeared to me as danger. Remember the Prabhupada's Leela we first discussed about? Krishna, you have come. That should be our attitude. The pastime of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj, and Lord Nrsingadev is a wonderful example on this regard. Nrsingadev was a dangerous person to who? To Hiranyakashipu with his thunderbolt-like fingernails. Can you imagine that? His ferocious teeth, his mane, his roar that broke several hearts. And simultaneously, he was a supreme friend who said that he was licking Prahlad Maharaj. He was simultaneously a supreme friend of Prahlad Maharaj. The same personality. God is never dangerous to devotees, and hence devotees are never afraid of dangers. They are confident that danger is yet another feature of the Lord. So why shall I be afraid? I am surrendered unto him. Coming back to Maharani Kunti, she says, Vipada Santutha Shashvat. Because she knows how to remember Krishna at times of danger, she herself is welcoming danger. She says, my dear Lord, I welcome such dangers when I can remember you. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was always thinking of Krishna when his father was putting him in such a dangerous position. So if we are put into dangerous positions, we should cultivate that mood, like these wonderful devotees, that if we are in a dangerous position, let that position give us an impetus to remember Krishna. Oh, I'm getting yet another opportunity of remembering Krishna. Hence, difficult positions are welcome because seeing Krishna means what? It means we're advancing in our spiritual life so that we will not continue to suffer anymore in this dangerous position. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vedi tattvataha tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So as we advance in Krishna consciousness, the result after tyaktva deham, giving up this body, Krishna says, punarjanma naiti, one doesn't have to take birth again in this material world. But if I were too comfortable at the present moment, then after that, I would not have been, if I were not inquisitive to seek and find the ultimate aim of life, then there is a high possibility of another birth. So after giving up this body, if I get the body of a cat or a dog, then having a comfortable position now actually has no meaning. It is stated in the Shastras that if you have got such and such mentality, you get such and such body. So in a comfortable position, if I keep myself in a dog's mentality, then I'm going to get my next life as a dog. Modern philosophy is, I am now in a comfortable position. I have got enough money. I have got enough properties, wealth, and possession. I've got enough comforts, enough food. So as soon as the body is finished, I'm not going to take birth again. So as long as I'm living, let me enjoy life. YOLO, you live only once. This is hedonism. Marni Kunti, even though is pious and wonderful devotee of the Lord, she is still anxious. What does she say? Apunar bhava darshanam. Apunar bhava, not to repeat the cycle of birth and death. She knows that if we always see Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means thinking of Krishna all the time. Your consciousness should be absorbed in Krishna's thoughts. We should welcome danger and pray to Krishna. And what is the prayer? Tat-tenukampa, we just recited. Lord Brahma teaching us, Tat-tenukampa susumikshamanu. My dear Lord, it is your great mercy that I'm put into this dangerous position. That is the viewpoint of devotee. He doesn't take danger as danger. He takes it as Krishna's mercy. What kind of mercy? Na bunjana evadma kritam vipaka. Due to my past activities, I was to suffer so much. But you are mitigating that suffering, giving me just a little suffering. That is the mood of a devotee. I'm sure many devotees have taught their kids, or they have heard it themselves. It's a point of token punishment. Like I sliced my finger, not sliced, just hardly cut my finger while slicing vegetables. And immediately what is said, oh, you're so lucky. You were supposed to lose your finger or your hand. And by Krishna's mercy, because you're Krishna's devotee, it has just become a small, slight slice in your hand, or a or a small cut in your hand. That's the point of token punishment. Sometimes, like a person goes to a court, he's a so-called big man and he's found guilty. And if the judge gives him a verdict to give, say, $100,000, he can pay it immediately. But instead, he asks him, the judge asks him to pay just $100, because that is also punishment, but minimizing. Similarly, we have to suffer on account of our past deeds. We have to. Krishna himself does that. Devotees don't usually like talking about the Lord leaving this material world. But how did he leave? He left with an arrow hitting his, he didn't hit, anyway, but because of an arrow, because of a hunter. And the hunter was hiding. So it is said that in Lord's Ram Leela, the Leela that he performed during the Yuga before he appeared, the Treta Yuga, said that he did the same thing as Lord Ram. He hid behind and he hit two brothers who were fighting. So similarly, he wanted to show that even though I'm the Lord, I will also have all these karmas following. He doesn't have to. Just like a king who enters a prison is not bound by the laws of the prison, he doesn't have to. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He has nothing to do with this planet or anything. But still, he's so magnanimous that he's showing that even I can't escape from all this. So he's just playing his part. So this goes to show that we have to suffer on account of our past deed. That's a fact we cannot avoid. In Brahma Samhita 5.54, Yasdvindragopa Madhavendra Mahosva Karma Bandhanurupa Falabhadhanamadanuti Karma Nirdahati Kintu Jabakti Bhajan Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I adore the Premarupa Lord Govinda, who burns up their roots of all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities. For all those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name Indragopa than in that of Indra, the king of Devas, meaning the tiniest insect on the material world, Indragopa, from him all the way up to Indra, the king of the heavenly planets. They're all bound by their actions, and they have to suffer or enjoy based on these actions. Hence, those who are in devotional service, who are in Krishna consciousness, their sufferings are minimized just as a token. Just like one was to be killed, so instead of being killed with a knife, he gets a little cut on the finger, just like the example I was giving. In this way, those who are in devotional service, they are aham tvam sarva bhadebhyo moksha ikshami. What does Krishna say in 18.66? Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva bhadebhyo moksha ikshami ma shuchaha. I give you protection from the reaction of sinful life. What more do you want? Given all this, why should we be afraid of danger, right? We should simply depend on Krishna consciousness, because if we live Krishna conscious lives in any circumstances, then the benefit is that I'm not coming again to this material world. Apunar bhavadarshanam. I don't have to take darshan of this material world. Repeatedly, you think of Krishna as you see Krishna, as you read of Krishna, as you work for Krishna, or some way or the other. If you remain in Krishna consciousness, that is your benefit. And that benefit will save you from taking birth again in this material world. And that's the real benefit. If I become a little comfortable by so-called other engagements and I forget Krishna and I take birth again, then what is the benefit? Hence, we should be very, very conscious of being too comfortable. Our Krishna, there's this concept of stretching, always being the stretch zone. Don't be too comfortable and don't overexert yourself that you give everything up, but always be in that stretch zone of exerting yourself a little bit. That way you're dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our Krishna consciousness should not be disturbed by any circumstance, and that is the instruction of Maharani Kunti. There's a whole book called Teachings of Mother Kunti or Queen Kunti. It's a must read, so if you have an opportunity, please do read it. She welcomes Vipada Santu. Let there be calamities, because before winning the battle of Kurukshetra, all the Pandavas were put into so many dangerous positions, and we covered this in the previous verses in great detail. Sometimes they were offered poison. Once they were put into a house of lac, it was set on fire. Sometimes big demons, man-eaters and big fighters were sent in their direction. They lost their kingdom, they lost their wife, they lost their prestige. They were sent to the forest in exile. They were surrounded by danger. And what? Within all these dangers, Krishna was there with them. Krishna was there with them throughout this. When Draupadi was being harassed, Krishna was there supplying clothes. Krishna was always with them. Therefore, now a question can come to mind, and Bhishma Pitamaha, their the grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, he poses this question to the Lord. Bhishma Deva, while he was dying, since he's the grandfather of the Pandavas, they had gone to see him on his deathbed, and we're reading this right now in our daily reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a beautiful narration. So when the Pandavas come to see him on the deathbed, he cried, saying that these boys, my grandsons, they are all very pious. Maharaj Yudhishthira is the topmost pious person. His name is Dharmaraj, the king of religiosity. He is the elder brother. And Bhima and Arjuna, they are such wonderful devotees and great heroes. They can kill thousands of men in a fraction of a second. They're so powerful. So Yudhishthira is there. Bhima is there, Arjuna is there, and Draupadi, she's directly goddess of fortune. Who's saying? Bhishma Pitamaha is saying. there was such an injunction that wherever Draupadi will be, there will be no scarcity of food. In this way, the combination was so nice. And over and above that, Krishna was always with them, and still they are suffering. Well, till that point they suffered. After that, there was, until Krishna left, was all hail and merry. So he began to cry. I don't know what is the arrangement of Krishna that such pious men, such devotees, they are also suffering. Who's asking? Krishna Pitamaha. So don't think that because I have become a devotee, there will be no danger and no suffering. Prahlad Maharaj suffered so much. The Pandavas suffered so much. Haridas Thakur suffered so much. But we should not be disturbed by those sufferings. We must have firm faith, firm conviction that Krishna is there and he will give me protection. Even now in our ISKCON Vaishnava Guru Parampara also, or the my beloved spiritual master, Jayapataka Swami, he is suffering all these bodily discomforts. How many several devotees like that? Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. My dear Arjuna, you can declare to the public that my devotees, they never vanquish. He asked Arjuna to declare this boldly because if his devotees make a promise, it will never, ever be violated. That is Krishna's business. Oh, my devotee has declared this. I must see to it that it is executed. That is Krishna's position. He's so attached to his devotees. So this is Krishna consciousness, and we must choose to be Krishna conscious at all circumstances, even if it is the most dangerous position. How many of us have heard of this pastime wherein Srila Prabhupada had asked two of his disciples, okay, go to Pakistan, go preach. They didn't even think of anything. They didn't, yeah, yes, Prabhupada, that's it. That's a sort of conviction, and that's a sort of, that's how Krishna conscious they were. They just left. And days after they left, the news came that there's this huge India-Pakistan tension, and two white-bodied people were killed and things like that. And everyone got so worried. And there's no mobile phones back then, so no one can really contact anybody. And Prabhupada also became concerned, and he said, send word out to them that come back as soon as possible. And when they got word, they came back immediately. And Prabhupada, upon seeing them, hugged them. And because he was so touched that they didn't even think of anything. Spiritual master said, go, you go. Just like Krishna said, do it, do it. So we must keep and nothing happened to them, not a scratch. Why? Because they were being protected by their spiritual master, and the spiritual master was being protected by the Lord himself. It's said that if Krishna decides someone has to leave this world or someone has to be killed, no one can save him. And if Krishna decides that a person is going to be protected, no one can touch that person. How can we say this? We should have faith. We must keep our faith in Krishna's lotus feet, and there will be no danger. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. We can discuss if everyone likes about, there's several beautiful points, or if there's anything that you'd like to share from your personal experience. It's a nice forum to do so that will motivate other devotees. Please don't be, you need to be humble. Please share. Thank you. All right, looks like no one wants to share.
I will share.
Yes, thank you.
How about your wonderful parents? They're online.
Yes.
Okay, it's always nice to have appreciation for mother and father.
Father's in the office, I think.
Huh?
My father's in the office, I think. He's just through audio.
Your mom?
Yeah, she's there. But she's shy.
Mataji, why don't you speak? You're so realized. You've served so long. Well, I'll say something. I appreciated how this is such a famous verse and how you connected between different pastimes of the Lord and his devotees, Draupadi, Prahlad Maharaj, in this particular pastime. That was very nice to try to teach us how to look at. I think the main thing is to understand what is real calamity and what is real prosperity. What is real calamity and what's real prosperity? Because I think most of the time, as you used in those examples of these devotees, we tend to look at calamity and prosperity from a self-centric point of view, rather than a Krishna-centric point of view.
Yeah.
So for Kunti Maharani, the real calamity was separation from Krishna.
Yes.
And so she was willing to have all the supposed calamities come because it brought the real prosperity, which is presence of Krishna. So I thought that was wonderful how you pointed those features out. We're so self-absorbed that it's hard to look at things this way, especially when there's suffering. But Krishna is merciful, like you pointed out. He reduces suffering to the extent that we can tolerate. Can we all tolerate Haridas Thakur's suffering? No. So we get coronavirus suffering. So Krishna is making nice adjustments for us and diminishing them, like you pointed out so nicely. So thank you for sharing and bringing out. I've read some of these lectures and heard them from Srila Prabhupada, and you kindly brought out things, the main points on all of Srila Prabhupada's lectures that I've heard about this. Most devotees have heard these lectures because they're so famous. So thank you for doing all that, including the pastime of Brahmananda Prabhu when he went to Pakistan and Srila Prabhupada embraced him so warmly. We one time had a lecture in, I think it was 1999 in ISKCON, Chicago, where we had invited Ram Bhadra Prabhu to give a class on art of deity worship. Ram Bhadra Prabhu is very famous in ISKCON for, if you look at all those 1970 photos of deities like Rukmini Dwarkadish, Radha Govinda Dev, he's probably the one who's dressed the vast majority of those deities, like in the classic ISKCON bhajan tapes. And he was saying that it was pretty incredible, the amount of surrender that devotees had to Srila Prabhupada. Like somebody could have just graduated from high school and meet Srila Prabhupada once, and Srila Prabhupada would say, you go to Nigeria and start. There's no devotees there. What do these guys know? They're just like 19-year-old, 20-year-old boys. But Ram Bhadra Prabhu was pointing out that, they had such surrender to Srila Prabhupada, they knew Srila Prabhupada would not put them into a situation where they were going to suffer. So, thank you for pointing all these wonderful things out. All glories to your service. I really appreciate how you give lectures and with so much enthusiasm. Devotees sometimes, when you read these things and hear these things, it almost becomes like a heavy weight on one's shoulders when you hear devotees suffering and you yourself see suffering in your own lives and in lives of others dear to you. That, your nice enthusiasm, your happiness and Krishna consciousness is so nice. One time I was taking Rupa Swami to the old Portland temple, which used to be in southwest Portland. And the temple president there his name was Deva Prashta Prabhu. And he met us in the parking lot and he was just beaming, just smiling so much. I'm sure they were very appreciative that, sannyasi is coming to their center. And I asked Prabhupada Maharaj afterwards when I was driving him back home, what did you think? He said, I really liked seeing that devotee so much. I said, why? He said, well, Krishna consciousness is such a happy process. And he said, to see somebody else who's like exuding that happiness in Krishna consciousness, he said, is wonderful. So I appreciate that about you and Prabhuji and your entire family, how you embody that so nicely. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Others can please share appreciation. Devotees spend a lot of time preparing for lectures and meditating on it. So Vaishnava culture is a culture of appreciation. So please come forward, and even if you don't have anything to add, you can always say thank you. Hare Krishna. See you all for today's Sunday feast is by none other than Premvardhana Prabhu from Washington, D.C. So, and then we have the lecture by His Grace Radhe Shyam Prabhu at 2:50. So please come to temple. You can still have darshan of the deities and be home in time to hear the lecture. Thank you.